Yan no! Kamusta mga kayo dyan? Ayan, yung mga nag-aalala sa atin, yung mga nagsisense na ating stress and tiredness and exhaustion. Ayan, tumakas na ako sa Manila. Ayoko na. Ayoko na sa Manila, masyadong stressful. Alright, pagod na ako. Ayan na, finally. Medyo konting bakasyon tayo dyan ng konting mga kameta, mga weekend vacation. Bago tayo bumalik na naman dyan sa ating very friendly, very not stressful Metro Manila. Ayan, kamusta kayo dyan guys? Andyan na ba kayo? Ayan, nag-hello-hello na yung mga tao. Nasaan ba tayo kahapon? Basta yun lang sinasabi ko guys. Minsan, kailangan mo na mag-chill ng konti. Yan. Pero habang sa vacation pa rin, I'm still arranging stuff, no? So hopefully soon, ma-interview natin mga iba't ibang cabinet ministers ng incoming administration. Kausap natin some people from the economic team. Kausap po natin si Ma'am Carlos. We're talking to security people, etc. Meron na tayong bagong National Defense Secretary, although mag-OIC muna siya para matapos yung requirements na kailangan pag retired ka from military, there's a certain gap before you assume a position in the civilian government. So lahat na yan, medyo inayos-ayos po natin. Kaya medyo good vibes tayo. But more importantly, ang of course nagpapa-good vibes sa atin dito guys is... Wait lang, may lights ba doon sa likod? Tita, sabi nila brown out dito. Walang ya. Wag dito sa taas ko. Nakikita yung pangit na Yan. Yan. See guys, meron kami pambayad ng electricity. Huwag kayong ganyan. But to be honest wala kami internet kanina. Kaya pagdating namin, Gcash. Sorry na lang. Yan, oo. Pero hindi ma-emphasize yung pimples natin, di ba? Kasi we want natural light to give us it. O, ayan ha. Meron kami pangbayad ng electricity. Walang iya kayo. Talagang alaskador kayo sa akin, no? Wala hindi pa tayo nag-start magsalita. Yung mga tanong, bakit sir brown out? Bakit sir di kayo nagbayad ng bill nyo? Matagal kami nawawala Matagal kami nawawala dito sa bahay na to. Pagbalik namin, dami pala hindi na binayaran. Tubig, electricity, internet. Kaya buong umaga, Gcash mo yan, Gcash. Unity, stars, yan. Ang sagot sa lahat, guys, political will. So, kaya na umaga, guys, meron kaming political will na kahit antok na antok ako after driving ng antagal. Sabi ko, idadaan ko to sa political will. Kumbaga, nasa solid north naman kami. Idadaan namin yan sa unity. Yan. Makano bayad dyan? Gcash. Makano bayad dyan? Gcash. Makano yan? Cash. Gcash. Ganon. Ayan. Ganern ang ginagawa namin. Kaya deserve namin ng electricity. Tapos mamaya lalaitin nyo naman yung background ko. Talagang masama kayong tao, no? Hindi kayo mabuting kaibigan. Ayan. Okay, actually may class na ako soon. So, yung kadaldalan natin, we'll try to keep it at a certain level, alright? Huwag na kayo magalit sa akin. Ay, by the way, nalaman ko pala, kaya pala parang, medyo kumunti yung live natin, pero madami pa rin team replay natin. Parang kulang yata sa notification tong Facebook na to, ha? Hindi yata kayo Hindi yata kayo binibigyan ng notification, ha? Pakisabi nga, parang weird tong na to, Parang weird tong Facebook ngayon. Meron yata silang mga rearrangements na ginagawa, kaya hindi ko alam. Hoy, chismoso kayo, Anong yung tanong niya? Let me see, sir, your Baka makita niyo mga tala na gold ko dyan, alright? Ay, hindi, alam mo ang sikat sa amin dito sa sa amin, Yamashita. Hindi sikat ang talano sa amin. Yamashita, mama, kunin ko si Lola. O sabi niyo si Lola, may explanation siya sa Yamashita. Bata pa lang kami, Yan ang ganito, ganyan. Kasi may Yamashita, kaya meron kami pang bayad ng mansion dito sa Baguio. Ganun, alright. Wag na, baka makita niyo yung Yamashita ko. Sige na nga. Tingnan ang konting view natin dyan. Yan. Medyo rainy, medyo depressed, medyo sad. Yan. Medyo ganun pong natin. Meta rain. Meta fresh. Actually, medyo fresh dito, to be honest, Ano naman? Oh, sabi naman ni Wena Setar, may notification ng... Oh, kasi meron ginawang itong walang yung meta company na to. May mga adjustments silang ginagawa. Medyo nag-weird na tong system ko. Kaya minsan di ko nga... Dati nga, di ko nakikita yung comments niya eh. Nakikita ko lang, kunyari, Malulim is watching. Cherozel is tuning in. Jella Jella is now team live. Mga ganon. Pete Padelia is watching. Ganon. Zaddy time. Mga ganon. Okay? Hindi ko lang, may mga ginagawa sila. Walang ya. Kaya hindi gumaganang ng mabuti. Ayan. Dito na po kami. Dito, I'm back to my roots, guys. Back to my roots. Cordilleran, Ilocano roots. Kaya happy tayo when you're close to your place of birth. Dito ako pinanak eh. Andyan lang Marcos Highway, malapit lang dyan. Sabi ng nanay ko, in rush yata, gusto ko na umalis. Uy, wag ka muna umalis, doon pa yung hospital. Ayan. Tuloy. Sa Marcos Highway kami na Marami tayong dyan, guys. Mga Kayamashita, mga Kameta. Alright. TG Cash, Talano Gold Cash. Yung may mga... Yan. G-Cash natin yan, guys. Kamusta naman kayo dyan? Alright, ito. Seryoso na tayo, Seryoso na tayo, guys. Huwag na tayo seryoso. Lang tayo, chill lang tayo, stress na. To be honest, nasi-stress rin pala ako. Hindi ko napansin yun. Akala ko dati, happy yan, go lang tayo. Tapos parang, napansin ko talaga yung bandang dulo ng May, tsaka early June. Nagigising ako sa stress. Alam mo yung gano'n, yung biglang nagigising ka, tapos parang stress to stress ka, gano'n. Yung pala, kahit sa consciousness mo, chill ka. Pero yung subconscious mo, stress ka, lalabas talaga yun. Lalabas talaga yun. Kaya guys, very important, self-care, self-compassion. Medyo mag-Jordan Peterson na tayo ngayon. Of course, guys, Carl Jung tayo ngayon. Carl Jung. Alright? May sinabi nga si Carl Jung na pinakagusto ko Isa sa mga pinakagustong Carl Jung ating sinabi niya. Nisan si Carl Jung. Sabi niya, people who know more than others are lonelier. Nag-feeling na naman tayo. Troll na naman tayo. Marami kasi tayong alam Kaya, minsan, dahil marites, nasa-stress ako lalo dahil ang daming marites. Ay. Ayan tayo Ayan. Okay. Ano nang petsa natin? Actually, I was hoping we'll discuss serious stuff. Pero sabi ko, medyo stressful talaga dire-diretso. Tapos, meron pa tayong mga friends dyan na may misunderstand naman ako. Ganito naman kasi, guys. Alam mo, kulang sa kultura natin, yung giving credit where it's due. Even if galing siya or especially when galing siya sa kabila. Kampo. Kasi kampi-kampihan lang tayo ng problema Kaya ako, ang ginagawa ko dito guys is in-explain ko sa inyo. For instance, sa foreign policy, na you have to give credit to different administrations for different contributions. The same way guys, na you have to also criticize different administration for passing down problems to the next administration. Kaya sabi ko, in fairness naman dun sa parating na administration ni Marcos, he's gonna be dealt more difficult economic cards than President Duterte in 2016 and so on and so forth, di ba? Ang laki na ng utang natin, lampas na 60% ng GDP natin, 20-year high. Hindi rin naman kasalanan ni Tatay Digong na nagkaroon ng pandemic. But of course, there are also issues with the management of the pandemic. Bakit tayo nag 5 quarters of recession, including before the pandemic in 2020. So there's serious management issues. Bakit delayed, overextended yung lockdowns, ganun. So yun nga guys, yan ang problema. Kasi ang nagiging issue dito is, kaya nga tayo susceptible sa fake news dahil we only look for news, quote-unquote, that affirms our pre-existing biases and prejudices. So ang tawag po dyan, confirmation bias. Kung ganyan tayo mag-consume ng news or information, we will never have a proper conversation, etc. Oy, Rachel Navarro, wag kang maganda yan. Ngayon, lalaitin nyo pa yung background ko. Alam niyo talaga naman. Mamaya na, pagandaan tayo ng, ng fertilizer for the garden. Yung mga ganun. Okay. Nasaan tayo? Pasaway, huwag kayo mag-comment ganyan. Wag na, mamaya. Sabi ni Glenn, wag na tayo mag-Jordan Peterson. Hindi na nga ako, naka-three-piece pa ako. Hindi nga ako nag-three-piece. Naka-Robin Peterson na dito, Robin Peterson. Medyo may Baguio boy, medyo may Alberta, Canada. Okay, by the way, kamusta naman dyan sa mga friends natin dyan sa Alberta, Canada. Oy, Rachel, kanina ka ba nang-asar sa akin, ha? Let me tell you, Rachel, I enjoy Alaska. And pag inalaska kita, huwag kang mamaya, walang iyakan dito, ha? Magpakabait tayo. Yan. Yun ang sinasabi, guys. One thing that we have to fix with our political culture is the confirmation bias syndrome. Okay? Lahat naghahanap lang ng news na magko-confirm ng kanilang bias. So for instance, kung anti-BBM ka, maghanap ka ng mga news na pinapakita na si BBM ay ganyan-ganyan. Alam niyo na, di ba? Yung mga alamano, mga gano'n. Pag anti-Lenny ka naman, hanapin mo yung mga times na si Lenny, medyo may gap in speaking or medyo mabagal, whatever, and then you'll make a story out of that. Tapos ngayon, pati vloggers, yan din ang ginagawa. Kunyari, favorite mo si ganitong vlogger, ang ganda bigla ng picture, parang, wait lang, hindi naman ganun yung itsura ng vlogger na yan. Biglang yung ang payat-payat na ang ganda-ganda na yun. Hindi naman ganun yan eh. Nakita ko yan. Parang ganun. Or, kunyari yung mga haters ko, kinukuha nila yung mga pinaka-haggard kong picture, tapos pinapangit pa nila lalo. Pero cute pa rin eh. So, I don't know. Nice try. You know what I'm saying? Yan, tawag dyan, confirmation bias. Naghahanap lang kayo ng informasyon, whether authentic or not, to reaffirm your pre-existing emotional predisposition towards a certain party or state of affairs. Yun pong malaking problema natin. Kaya nga tinitry po natin dito, yes, minsan nag-Alaska tayo, yes, minsan nag-ano tayo. O yan, wala na si Rachel. Tuloy, pinansin ko siya. Parang gumana yung technique niya. Uy, lighting ko to si Adarian. Sasagot yan. But you can see the smile, man. We're chill. Okay? Basta, pag inalas ka kita, wala nang iyakan, ha? Wala nang ha? Walang atrasan to. Okay? Ayan tayo, eh. Okay, tawagin ko yung masama. Yan, akit na sila. I mean, yun nga yung point ko. One of the things we're trying to do, mga kameta, dito sa discussion natin. Ayan na yung mga, Team Galante. Ayan! Ayan na si Mitch. Mga Team Galante. Mga Team Galante. Ayan tayo eh. Ayan tayo. Wala na yung mga Team Liberal. Dito pa naman tayo sa Solid North. Marami mga, dito, mga economized friendships. mga, siguro sa Saturday, ikaw bibili ng kape. Sa Monday, si Juan, sa Tuesday, si share tayo dun sa table. Uy, maga ka para makuha mo yung magandang sa Starbucks dito sa John Hay. Yan. Ayan tayo eh. Kilala ko yung mga style na gano'n, mga boy libre, boy takas. Sa mga gusto natin dyan, mga kaibigan natin, mga ka-meta galante. Meta galante friends natin. Thank you for that. Saan ba tayo? Wala na, sira na conversation. Yung confirmation bias. Now, okay, let me be clear about this, guys. Let me be clear about this. Obviously, there was this, I sent this to my friend. I'll show you. It is true that different media outlets fall along the ideological spectrum. That's true. Let me bring out the survey done on this para makita niyo yung data eh. But let me tell you why that's still different from fake news and disinformation, right? Saan na yan? Walang ya. Dito ko nilagay. Yep. Ito. I-pull out ko para makita niya. Ayan! Gandang yan. So, for instance, guys, ito So, this is a graph of ay, di ko dinala yung ballpen ko. Yung notebook ko, di ko dinala. Yung Netherlands na Hermes. Ayan tayo. Ito so, for instance, this is a world truth, this is a survey done of, I'll send you the link, of different news organizations and where they fall in the ideological spectrum. So, yung mga nasa gitna, that means perfectly center. Neither left nor right. Then, pinaka-right wing, Mga lampas na sa Fox News yan, mga Newsmax, tas pinaka left wing, mga ano yan, di ko nga alam yung mga yan. Uh, of course, MSNBC is almost here. CNN is center left. MSNBC and Slay is a little bit farther. And then meron Palmer Report. So sa US to for instance, pinaka left. Tapos Crooks and Liars, ganun. Sa right naman, medyo going towards the end, dito makikita nyo, Fox News. Fox News. Pero that's not even the most extreme. InfoWars and News Punch ang pinaka-extremes dito. Sa right wing naman, na pro-Republican, pro-Trump. Ito naman, anti-Trump. Dito naman, anti-Trump. I don't know, pro-Bernie Sanders, siguro nga ganyan. Tapos yung mga CNN, MSNBC dito, New York Times dito, ang pinaka-balance is Associated Press. Now, this is based on content analysis of how these different media outlets cover certain issues and what aspects of a certain administration they cover. Now, having those kinds of ideological biases and prejudices is just normal, right? In a sense that, normal. But you see, this is the difference, guys, with disinformation. In disinformation, you are misrepresenting even your organization. Kunyari, BBC ka, hindi ka naman BBC, di ba? Or number two, walang fact-checking whatsoever. If you look at, so the most balanced pala is Associated Press, based dito sa analysis. But if you look at all the legitimate outlets dun sa center left and right, all of them at least have a standard journalistic practice. The ethics of fact-checking, editorial review, etc. to make sure na walang kalokohan nangyari. And of course, they're legal entities. So if they produce fake news or news that is salacious or bordering even on hate speech, etc., meron siyang a legal implication. Kasi these are entities. These are legal entities with certain clear mandate and responsibilities, etc. Kaya nga hindi yan, sobrang iba yan dun sa issue ng disinformation and fake news. Fake news is totally fake, right? It's not only a question of bias, etc. Do you get what I'm saying? And bias does not necessarily mean negative. You can say, I have a bias for facts. I have a bias for helping the poor. Right? Masama ba sa inyo yan? Bias yan. But I have a bias for the poor. For instance, mas may compassion ako sa ating mga kababayan who have less in life than dun sa mga more privileged. So let's say if there are two people, both of them may drama sa buhay, mas may preference ako na tulungan yung mas galing sa more humble background than the other. That's a bias. Because I'm not really being fair, because if you're fair, you'll just put aside all their socioeconomic background. No, but I have a bias to help the poor more than the others. That's a bias. Is it a bad thing? We can debate about that. Do you get what I'm saying? So everyone, yes, has a bias because hindi naman tayo disembodied consciousness, right? We're human beings in a certain context. In fact, there is a terminology that says how you stand on things depends on where you sit. So, kunyari, sabihin natin, so may term actually dyan may term parang geo-ideology or geo-bias. So, for instance, if you're based in California or New York, it's more likely that yung thinking mo is more democratic leaning. Not 100%, but more likely. If you're based in Nebraska, Kansas, or Louisiana, you tend to be more Republican or conservative on certain issues. So where you sit tends to also affect your ideological and political preferences. So we are also a product of our circumstances, etc., for instance, right? So me coming from the north, from Baguio, etc., there are things that perhaps I know more or I'm more sympathetic to than perhaps someone who comes from Mindanao, for instance. But that doesn't mean we should stop trying to understand others, trying to research, trying to verify facts, right? To reach out, to learn, That's my point. So everyone has a bias. The question is, what kind of bias? Is this bias making the system more oppressive, less oppressive, right? Is there an effort to be conscious about your bias, to be transparent about your bias? That's my point, right? So yon. So yan ang wala sa mga karamihan ng mga political vloggers, etc. Walang fact-checking, walang transparency about their preferences, etc. So ako, I'm very clear. My preference is for rule of law. Ayoko ng bara-bara. My preference is for strong state institutions. Ayoko yung tatay style. My preference is for interdependent foreign policy. I got that term from Ramos. Hindi tayo dependent on one superpower versus the other, or hindi tayo magtapon ng one superpower against the other. I believe in developing a full linkages and networks of strategic partnerships and alliances. So that's my bias. I'll be transparent about it, and I'm proud of it because I think it makes sense. And it's a bias that has been, it's not just a product of my psychology or, so geopsychology, right? Geopsychology ang term dyan. No? So where you come from tends to also shape how you stand on specific issues. So yung issue, for instance, ng federalism, I think mga kapatid natin sa Mindanao who have felt neglected by the national government, mas malapit sa puso nila. Kung ikaw ay galing sa Metro Manila, siguro hindi ganun ka lakas yung dating ng term ng federalism sa'yo. Kasi parang, ano ba, andito na nga yung Manila, yung power, ba't pa tayo mag-federal, di ba? Parang, you get what I'm saying? So, geopsychology, ayan geopsychology is important. Talagang nag-Jordan Peterson talaga tayo. So, yun, first thing, confirmation bias. Be very, very careful about that. So, very, very careful about that. And then, the other one is geopsychology, etc. Ayan, may mga tanong-tanong dyan. Mga tanong-tanong. Yes, Jelena, we're gonna interview a number of cabinet ministers. So, God willing, Ma'am Carlos will be among the first. And of course, alam ko, maraming nag-aabang dyan. Dahil, di ba, parehas kaming medyo, we have a lot of opinions on life, etc. But there are a lot of things also we share. Kaya nga naging very close kami before. And now, I look forward to, getting her views on things and really dig deep into issues, etc. No? But don't worry, we're also going to talk to some of the technocrats in the incoming administration. Pag-usapan namin yung mga issues ng trade policy, industrial policy, agricultural development, etc. So chill lang kayo dyan, alright? Mga Team Libre, Team Perfect Attendance, Team Replay, alright? Kaya yan, kaya sabi ko talaga kailangan natin chill. Uy, nag-stop na yung rain, ha? Ayan, pwede na ako lumabas. Paano na kayo? Ano lang kayo, panglipas oras ko lang kasi umuulan, di ako makalis na joke lang. Ayan, may class na pala ako, guys. Alright? So, thank you very much. Alam mo, sinabi ko I always tell you, students always come first. Sorry. You're my students too, of course. But the difference is sila nagbayad ng tuition fee. Kayo, wala. Marami sa inyo, boy libre pa. Alright? So, unahin ko yung mga nagbayad ng tuition fee. Alright? Meron akong obligasyon sa kanila. But kidding aside, of course. So, thank you guys. Maraming salamat. Kaya sabi ko, chill lang kayo dyan. Chill lang kayo. Talagang stress tayo. Aminado naman tayo. Lahat naman tayo, we need a little bit of, oo nga pala, no? Tama yung DICT. Si Attorney Uy. Oo nga, no? Good suggestion. Sige, Attorney Uy. Kausapin natin siya on Starlink, mga ganyan. Neuralink, mga ganyan, no? Next level na to. Uy, si Elon Musk, pa-free speech, tapos fired agad yung mga empleyado niya. May sinabi lang na medyo negative sa kanya. Iba talaga mga kameta. Alright, ayan tayo eh. Sige po, I'll try to tell my team, kausapin din yung DICT Chief Incoming, si Attorney Oy. Ukol din dito sa mga issues ng internet connection. Parang, sir, paano maging libre itong mga meta ko? Kasi ang mahal ng internet eh. Diba? Sir, paano ko naman, ayan tayo eh. Sir, meron bang public wifi dyan na safe na pwede ako gumamit? Para di naman tayo mag 5G, medyo expensive. Yan tayo. Yan, alright? Geopsychology. You learned the term today, classroom. Yeah, and confirmation bias. Those are two things you have to keep in mind. And we have to be conscious about it. Ako, as I said, hindi naman tayo disembodied consciousness. Naapektuhan talaga tayo ng ating so there's the geopsychology. There's also the aspect of confirmation bias. Of course, minsan inis ka sa ganitong tao, hanapin mo lang yung news na pinapakita na masama siya. But that's why you have to transcend your geopsychology. You have to transcend your ingrained biases so that you can learn. Alright? Kaya ako, I'm always open to talk to other people. Right? Kahit yung mga troll, ganun, sige lang, patuwala tayo. Tapos mamaya, biglang secret fan pala, tapos nag-message, sir, di naman ako troll eh. Ano lang kasi sir eh, para lang mapansin mo ako, yung mga ganun ng message, walang yan, sabi ko. Talaga lang mga style niya. Alright, okay, thank you very much. Salamat sa inyo, sa mga friends natin dyan, all around the world. Wait lang, nasend ko na ba yung Zoom link? Oops. Ba't hindi nag-appear? Ayan, sorry. Sorry, hindi ko nasend pala yung Zoom link. Sorry guys, teacher duties. Hindi ko pala na-send. Ay, ay. Yan kasi, distracting kasi kayo sa akin eh. Ayun na, magka-classroom na ako. Alright, ito na. Hindi, kanina ko pa na-set up yun. Napansin ko, hindi ko pala na-send. Alright? Okay, I'll get back to work na guys. Alright. Teacher duties. Thank you very much, John. Ayan, VPN. VPN. Mahal ang VPN ngayon, ha? Bakit ka ba ng monthly? Thank you very much, my friends atin John from Gitnang Silangan, from Australia, my mites, Metamites, from New Zealand, my Kiwi mites, Metamites, right? My Aleman mites, Österreichischen, my Francois mites, right? My friends atin John from California and Quezon City, from Iloilo and Bicol and Mindanao. Thank you very much for your support and everything. I really, really appreciate. Chill lang tayo, guys. Basta stay strong, stay strong. Prayers, be with family, loved ones, and have a blessed Sabbath day tomorrow. Alright? Ayan na, wala na, malamig na dito. Alright, salamat. Thank you very much. God bless. Adios.